Hi again, everyone. Welcome back to Arkham Horror. So we're going to pick up where we left off from part 2, which was two of our characters are in the other world. One has just come back. Only one can seal, but that's Patrice, and she's on the brink of being incapacitated. Meanwhile, Ithic was at 4 Doom tokens, and we have no seals down, and only one on the way, so... Oh, and also we've got Disturbing the Dead rumor, which is going to sporadically raise the terror level, and if the terror level gets too high, then Charlie fails his story. So we've got a lot to think about. Something else that I didn't think about is that Bob is now at 2 out of 3 monster trophies. So if he ever gets a third one, he's going to fail his personal story. Forgot all about that, and now I got to be more careful with him, especially since there's now a tedious monster in the streets that Bob's probably going to have to deal with. So anyway, let's begin the new turn. So Bob, he's going to continue to try to close his gate. That's his whole plan, to get enough trophies to take care of Disturbing the Dead. Patrice is going to just come out of her gate, so actually I've got one focus point. I think what I'll do is, might as well just raise her lore, I suppose? Yeah. That would be higher. Okay, and then Charlie finally is going to be coming out. Should I consider making him close a gate? Perhaps. I'm looking around the board. Yeah, he's just going to have to probably close his gate, so I'm going to raise his fight. We'll just close it and put it behind us. All right, let's start let's go on to the movement phase. Bob is already at the gate. He doesn't have to move anywhere. Patrice is going to re-emerge from the Plateau of Lang. And then Charlie is going to come out at the woods. Did I refer to Charlie as Bob earlier? I might have. Sorry. Bob, Patrice, Charlie. We're good. So, let's see. It's now the Arkham encounter phase. Everybody's on a gate, so everybody's going to try to close their gate. So Bob is first. He gets to pick either a fight or a lore check to close his gate. His fight is currently higher, so he'll just pick fight. Just like last time. So that's normally 2 dice. The gate itself is -2, which means... 4 dice, -2 is 2. He gets 2 dice to try to close this gate. And no other bonuses. Here we go. Alright, that's a 5 and a 6. Bob has successfully closed his gate. He takes it as a trophy. Normally he could pay 5 clue tokens to seal it, but he doesn't have 5 clue tokens, so we don't get this one seal. But since this gate has a hexagon symbol on it, every monster that's in town or in the sky or in the outskirts with a hexagon symbol gets banished back to its home dimension. Currently that is none, but that's okay. Next is Patrice. Patrice is going to try to close her gate by making a lore instead of fight check, because her lore is higher. So her lore is 4, the gate modifier is -1. However, Bob just picked up a gate trophy, so he has more gate trophies than she does, so she gets a +1 bonus to closing gates because of the friendly rivals. So here's 4 dice for Patrice. That is 2 successes, so she'll take that as a trophy. Banish all the diamond monsters from the board. I know there's at least one. Okay, yeah. Hunting Horror and Elder Thing are now banished, which means they're returned to the monster bag. And she can spend her 5 clue tokens to seal a gate. So that's our first seal. Alright, we are 1/6 the way to winning the game. Lastly, we have Charlie's turn, and Charlie's going to pick his fight because it's 6. The modifier on the gate is -1, so he gets 5 dice to try to close his gate. No other bonuses anywhere that I can see. And that's 2 successes. I only need 1 for a general check, unless otherwise noted. So he takes that as a trophy and banishes any star symbol monsters, and there are none, I think. Yeah, that's right. That's what I thought. Okay. Mildly successful second round, but now we're going to move on to... We're going to skip the Otherworld encounter phase because nobody's there. We're going to go straight to the Mythos phase. What do we got? A gate opens at Hibbs Roadhouse, eliminating these 2 clues. Patrice gets a clue for a gate opening. A clue will appear at Independence Square. Now, a gate's just opened, which means we add another Doom token to the Doom track, and a monster has to appear. So let's draw from this bag. a Loigor. Nasty little thing. The cultist moves. So is this cultist. Essentially every cultist moves. And our Mythos effect is a weather card, so I'm just going to discard it without further effect. But we're not done. I need to roll the die to see if Disturbing the Dead activates. And it does. I rolled a 1. So the terror level for the first time increases by 1. Now, whenever the terror level increases, a random ally flees from town. So in this case, Thomas F. Malone is now out of the game. We can never obtain him as an ally. He just couldn't take the heat. So let's pass the first player. It's now a new turn, so let's do our upkeep. So the plan is that, Bob has 2... Originally, Bob is going to move around the crawling one because of the fairly low evade modifier, but now there's a cultist in the way, and with the cultist in the way, that makes evading very difficult to do. But while he could probably kill them both, if he kills either of them, he fails his story. So he might be stuck there for a little while. I don't know. Unless somebody else comes over there and destroys the monsters for him. Patrice is teetering on the edge of both insanity and unconsciousness, so she needs to get either to the hospital or to the asylum. The hospital is currently being guarded by a Lang spider, don't want to deal with that. And she can go a roundabout way to at least get to the asylum, so I might just send her off to do that. So, she will need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 movement. So I'll raise her speed to 4, and then rely on fellow travelers for her 5th. Charlie, on the other hand, is kind of stuck at the woods. He might have to go out and deal with the Lang Spider, but doing so means he's going to suffer the Icy Winds damage. In addition, the Lang Spider has an effect called Overwhelming, which means even if he passes the check, he loses stamina. So, best case scenario, he'll lose 2 stamina. He'll be 2 stamina down by the start of next turn. So another thing he could do is sneak out of the way, but that's not great, because the sneak and his speed aren't terrific, to say the least. He needs to get money, so it might just be worth his while to stay there, but I'm thinking about what could possibly happen when the monsters move. If the Lang Spider doesn't move next turn, he's stuck again. If the cultist, if it does move, but the cultist comes to replace it, he's stuck again. So there's a high chance he'll be stuck there next turn, so I might just have to bite the bullet, go out there and fight the Lang Spider, so... What's his sanity damage? 2? Okay. His fight is maxed out. He's only got a bullwhip, but his fight is maxed out. So if he ran out there and just took the sanity hit because of his minimized will, he might be able to actually topple this thing, like fight-wise. Let's get a better idea of what we're talking about here. So he'd get 5 dice plus 1 from the bullwhip. It's doable. It's not great, but it is doable. Well, enough of that. Let's actually do the movement phase. So Patrice is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Fellow travelers, 5. Oh, that's right, she can't even afford the full psychiatric care. Oh well, life is hard. Charlie is going to go out and try to topple the Lang Spider. Alright, step 1 is do the horror check. So that's a will horror -2, and horror is based on your will. My will currently is 2, so I automatically fail and lose 2 sanity. Okay. But I move on to the combat, which is where I'm hoping everything will go right. So, my fight is 6, -1 from the monster is 5. I'm going to equip the bullwhip in one hand to give me the 6th die. And I need 2 successes because the monster has 2 toughness. So let's see what we got. I've rolled none successes. My options aren't great right now. So what I will do is exhaust my bullwhip to re-roll a failed die. That's 1 success, but I need a second one. So I could spend a clue token. Spend one of Charlie's clue tokens. How about spend one of Patrice's clue tokens, because her special ability says she can let other people spend her clues for checks, to roll 2 dice instead of 1 because of his fight skill. Alright, that gives me 2 more successes. That's enough to beat the thing. Awesome. I got it. It's my trophy. I lose 1 stamina because this monster has overwhelming 1. So my penalty for passing the check is 1 stamina, as I said earlier. So Charlie's stuck out there for a little while, but he's slowly becoming some kind of a hero. Okay, Bob is just stuck. He's not going anywhere. So let's do our Arkham encounters. So Patrice, my thought was that I would spend $2 to get full psychiatric care, but I don't have $2, so instead I could receive 1 sanity for free. But she's also completely out of clues, and the kind of things you can get at random encounters are sanity or clues. So I think I'll just take a random encounter with her and hope that doesn't drive her insane. You find some strange medicine labeled Dream Enhancers in a dusty cabinet. Do you choose to take it? Yes. Make a lore -1 check. Perfect. So my lore is 4, which is pretty good. -1 is 3 dice. It's a good chance to get a success on this. I'm hoping I'll get something great. Or she could fail it completely. And she has no recourse to pass this. Okay, well, what happens to her? Nothing happens. Nothing happens for failure. Okay. That could have gone worse. Charlie gets no encounter because he's in the street. Bob gets an encounter at the Black Cave. You are in a maze of twisty passages, all alike. Pass a lore -1 check or become lost. Lore -2 check. I'm sorry, lore -2 check. Okay, well my lore is 2 on the nose. Well, he's gonna get lost regardless because, he just can't leave next turn, so he's probably gonna get delayed. If you fail, lose a stamina and be delayed. Cool. Great. So as a reminder, delayed means that you're turned on your side, so the only thing you can do during movement is turn yourself upright. You can't move anywhere else. So he's essentially stuck there a turn, but look, he's stuck there a turn regardless unless he wants to fail a story, so I'm just hoping this will work out for him in the end. Already, it's another Mythos phase. What do we got? Gate opens at Unvisited Isle. Okay, so it's getting bad right now. We've got 1, 2... This will only be the 3rd open gate, but because we haven't been sealing a whole lot... we've already had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... 6 have opened, so that's 6 Doom tokens added. Well, clue's gonna appear at the science building, I'll get that out of the way. And the monster that comes out of the gate is... a wraith. Cool. I think this is the most trouble I've ever had on this first scenario. So let's see, the Lang Spider moves to the street. We have a headline that reads, Scientist warns of dimensional rift. All dimensional shamblers and hounds of Tyndalos in Arkham are returned to the cup. So, there is a dimensional shambler in the outskirts, but I was reading through the all-encompassing FAQ, yesterday, and I happened upon a ruling that says that outskirts monsters don't count for effects like this, which is not something that I expected. So, before yesterday, I would have actually made that monster get targeted by this, but in fact it does not. So, I'll throw away that headline. I will check for Disturbing the Dead. Okay. And pass the first player, and we are back on to the next Upkeep. Oh, also, Charlie sustains damage from being in the icy streets. Okay. New Upkeep. Charlie is going to... I can gun on over to the science building, pick up those 2 clues, have 5, and be ready to seal again. That's probably what I'm going to do with him. There's another Lang Spider along the way, but I can't deal with that. So, sure. I'm going to send him 1, 2, 3 on up to the science building, and I'll dial back his will while I can. Or I could send him to the hospital first, get back his stamina, and then next turn go grab the clues at the science building. I think I'll do that. Yeah, he's going to need his stamina back before he goes gate jumping. Okay, and just hope that the cultist doesn't come out and harass him. Bob is stuck again. And Patrice is, I don't know, she's in bad shape, so I need to get her sanity. I would love to get her those clues, but I'm just worried about what's going to happen to her. So, it's a lot of tough decisions to make. You know what? I'll send her to the newspaper. That could get her clues or money, and the money could be used to heal her. So, I guess let's consider doing that. So Charlie's first move, he'll go, he's going to the hospital. Then Bob is going to recover in the cave. Patrice is going to go 1, 2, 3 to the newspaper. She's got 3 movement. And we're there. So Charlie is going to get medical care for $2. All of his stamina comes back. Great. Bob is having another random encounter in the cave because he got lost in there like some kind of doofus. In the darkness, you happen upon the remains of a previous spelunker. Make a luck +0 check and consult the chart below. What that's going to mean is the outcome of this encounter is going to be based on the number of successes he gets on his luck +0 check. So even if I only get 1 success, sometimes it's worth spending clues to get more. But in this case, I got 2. That's the maximum he can get with what he has without spending clues. So it says, searching the body, you find something interesting. Draw a common item. A little bit of luck never hurts. Common item is going to be an axe. Ooh. That is better than what he's currently sporting because it is permanent. So an axe gives you +2 to combat checks, but if you equip it in both your hands, you get +3. He's got no other weapons that he can take up his other hand, so he could get the full +3 bonus. Cool. Patrice is at the newspaper. You accidentally tip over a bottle of ink and are aghast at the pattern that the ink forms on the newsroom floor. Lose 1 sanity. Well, that's it for her, isn't it? Patrice has lost her final sanity point. So she goes insane, gets carted off to the asylum. So 2 things happen right now. First, I have to choose what kind of penalty to give to her. It's either going to be lose a lot of her stuff and go back to only 1 sanity, or I can lose nothing, go back to full sanity, but then receive a madness card. Since if I only go back to 1 sanity, she'll be just as bad as she was before, I think I'm going to go ahead and take the madness card. But the other thing that happens is she fails her personal story, so I'm going to check that first. Soulful Aria. Staring sadly at her violin, Patrice knew she could not risk playing it again, or else the Watcher might find her. So she has to lose 1 sanity or stamina for each clue token she lets other players spend. I haven't used that ability all that much. I don't think it's a huge penalty. But that means that she can't actually get the bonus for passing her story, which I remember is probably something pretty good. So, oops. Well, anyway, let's give her all of her sanity back. And get a madness card. What have we got? What's going to happen to her? Agoraphobia is the madness she has. During the upkeep, if she's in a street, she loses 1 sanity. So, hand in hand with the Icy Winds effect, that means that she'll lose 1 sanity and 1 stamina every turn that she winds up in the street. Ouch. But at least she's back to full sanity. If I just keep her out of the streets, I can just ignore that power, or that disability. Okay, so everybody's done their Arkham encounters. Let's move on to the Mythos. Gate opens at Unvisited Isle, but there's already a gate there, so 3 monsters emerge. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many monsters in town right now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. That's the maximum I've seen to recall. Yeah, so all 3 of these monsters have to go into the outskirts. But what's the outskirts limit again? It's 5. 1, 2, there's already 3 there. That means once the third of the 3 monsters hits that outskirts, it will technically overflow and empty out, so I'm not even going to draw them. I'll just say it's emptied. It doesn't matter which ones I draw. And since the outskirts emptied, the tar level goes up by 1. So we are at 2 now. And as a consequence, Tom Mountain Murphy leaves town. He would have been a great ally to have, but he's a big scaredy cat, and now he's gone. No gate opens, so Patrice doesn't get a clue. I'm going to move some monsters, so all the crescent monsters move towards black. That's all cultists. You're another cultist. So Bob might now have his opening. So this monster, the Wraith, with the blue border, indicates that it's a flying monster. So when it moves, it's going to first check to see if there's an adjacent investigator in a street. If not, it moves to the sky space. So while it's in the sky, that means that it has the ability to land on somebody who's in a street if it moves when somebody's in a street. So that means now that when people are in the street, they have to deal with the icy winds. Patrice has to deal with her agoraphobia, and now anybody who's in the street risks the Wraith finding them because it's soaring over town scanning the streets. Bad news in the streets, not to mention all this other BS that I have to deal with. We now have an environment card, and this one's not a weather card, so this one's just going to stay in play indefinitely until I draw another one to replace it. This effect is called Chill of the Grave. All undead monsters have their toughness increased by 1. As long as this stays in play, any undead monster we go up against, this includes the Wraith, is going to have an extra toughness. On the plus side, that means any monster trophies that we have that are undead also have an additional toughness, so this zombie is now worth 2 instead of the normal 1. I also forgot I'm supposed to put a clue at the science building, so that's looking pretty alluring. I'm definitely sending Charlie there. So let's... Oh, before I do that... Disturbing the Dead rumor. Ooh, it went off again. It's raised again to 3. Now, Professor Armitage has left town. That's not good. And worse yet, things have gotten so bad in town that now the general store owner has boarded up shop and has left town. So we can no longer visit the general store. Yikes. Things are just... they've gone from bad to worse. So, I said that... Looking at it now, did I pass the first player? Let's do that. So looking at it now, I said Bob has a way out, because there's now only a crawling one, and they're sort of easy to avoid. But where is he going to go? Cultist is impossible to dodge. Cultist is impossible to dodge. Lang Spider is very difficult. So he's really not that much better off. He doesn't have enough clues to do anything super useful, so I think what I'll do is send him to the graveyard. So I'm going to raise his sneak, hope he makes it to the graveyard. Patrice is now only hurting for stamina, but it's not easy to get to anywhere with stamina, so I think I'll just take advantage of the fact that she's right by Independence Square and pop her in there. I'll raise her luck, too, just in case. And Charlie is hurting for sanity, but otherwise okay to go to a gate. The problem is no gates are easily accessible by him, so I will run him over to the science building so he can scoop up a ton of clues. And then he can be our gate sealer. So he needs 3 movement. He's got that much. So let's get going. Bob's first. He's going to move 1 into the street and opt to try to avoid the crawling one. So he uses sneak check to make sneak stat to do an evade check. His sneak is currently 4. -1 on the monster is 3. So if he passes this, he gets to continue moving. Great. 3 6s. Awesome. Wish I could get that in other checks. But he's going to move to the graveyard, and his turn, take the clue. Patrice is... oh, what was her plan again? Guess go to Independence Square and hope? Maybe she'll get stamina? Probably not. So she's at 3 clues now. Then Charlie is going to go to the science building. 1, 2... let's use his map. 3. Fantastic. Alright, so Charlie's at 6 clues. Random encounters now. So Bob is at the graveyard. This is the first words in quotes. Testifying, so that's a nickname, or an epithet. Testifying Cooter Falwell latches onto you and rambles on about his spiritual beliefs. Make a lore -1 check. See if I can glean some useful information out of old Cooter Falwell, or whatever his name is. Yes, so I roll a 6, what do we got? If you pass, somewhere in Cooter's words, you find a clue to the Mythos threat. Gain a clue token, but lose a sanity. Ooh. He said something that resonated with me. At least I'm at 4 clues now. Alright, Patrice is at Independence Square. Pass a fight -1 check to intimidate a policeman, or he rousts you from the park. Fight is only 2. Great. He would have tossed me in the street and I would have had a really bad time. Next up is Charlie at the science building. So instead of a random encounter, Charlie could spend his gate trophy to gain 2 clues. Now, we've been trying to get gate trophies together to stop disturbing the dead. If Charlie were not to spend his gate and go into a new gate and seal it, that would take a number of turns, and chances are the terror level is going to increase before then. So if he focused exclusively on stopping this rumor, chances are he wouldn't be able to do it before it got to terror level 4 and failed his story. So I'm going to assume that we're going to fail it and just take advantage of the fact that I'm at the science building and use the alternate encounter called Dissection. I can spend either 5 toughness of monsters or 1 gate trophy to gain 2 clues. And even though he's got a lot of clues now, won't hurt to have more. So he is now at 8. Okay, let's go straight to Mythos. So gate opens at the woods. Oh, that puts Ithaca at 7. He's getting there. I have this sneaking suspicion we are not going to make it. But the thing that comes out is a Yithian. The Yithian moves into the streets. Lang Spider blocks Charlie. That's just lovely. Actually, no. Wait a minute. This guy counts as part of town, so that means this guy goes to the outskirts instead. Whoops. Alright. Well, could be worse. Now we have a headline. First, let's make a clue appear at Historical Society. A gate did open, so I'll give Patrice another clue. That puts her at 4. Sorry, I'm all over the place here. So Patrice is at 4. 2 clues at Historical. Is that everything? I remember everything? Okay, we have a headline now. All quiet in Arkham. Each player may pass a luck -1 check to be blessed. And blessing is a very cool buff to have. So let's start with Bob. Bob has a luck of 2. So 2 minus 1 is 1. I'll roll 1 die. And he failed. He's hurting for clues. So I'm just going to say, nah, forget it. Patrice is at 2 luck. So she additionally will roll 1 die. Didn't work out for her either, and I don't feel like spending clues. And Charlie is at 3 luck, so he gets 2 dice. And he passes. So now, Charlie gets a blessing card. Now, as long as Charlie has this card, 4s count as successes on a die roll instead of just 5 and 6. So his chances to pass any check have increased quite a lot. So the blessing will last with him for a random amount of time before just evaporating. So I hope it lasts a really long time. Anyway, back to Disturbing the Dead. It's funny, we have Chill of the Grave and Disturbing the Dead together, so this is kind of an Undead-themed couple of rounds by random chance.